About a week ago, I when I was going to campus, I saw high school people in uniform and they were passing something. And that stuck with me because people were walking and they just didn't and it just might they didn't give a fuck. So in my mind I was like, okay, instead of being that thing of bah, hi, don't smoke in uniform, yeah, yeah. I just thought to myself, why do we smoke? Why do we like to smoke and drink? And the simple answer is because it feels good. Because it feels good. I've I've drank before. I've smoked before. I've never smoked cigs, so I don't know how that's like. I smoked weed. Weed put me in a state that I enjoyed being in, and alcohol numbed my senses, which was good in the moment, but the more I did it, the more I didn't like it. Both of these experiences were different from my normal state of consciousness in the sense that with weed, I don't really know how to explain it, but I just felt deeper in the sense that I felt more open and more conscious and more aware of life because I was in that state. In terms of alcohol, I felt like I lacked control. I felt like I wasn't driving, and I was just letting the car coast on its own. But the way I acted and the way I expressed myself was the same. I was a little bit different with alcohol. The difference between my normal state and those things were the fact that I was more, I don't know, I just let go more. I wasn't thinking a lot. I wasn't using my brain to dictate life, basically. I was just living. And each time I indulged in those poisons, I was I was doing it for different reasons. One time I would do it just to unwind after a long day. Sometimes I'll do it because it's accessible, it's there. Sometimes I'll do it because I can't sleep. And sometimes I'll just do it because it feels good. And I know it feels good. And I want to feel good in that specific point in time. But all these reasons have something in common in the sense that I was doing it to low key like escape, but not really escape. More like to feel better than what I'm feeling. Even though I'll always feel good and I'm always chilled, I just wanted to feel more chill and more good. Life is a bitch. We know this. Doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how good you feel in the moment. The moment can easily change and it can just fuck up the vibes entirely. And it's hard to let go of the things that fuck you up. It's hard to accept the things that fuck you up and just move on. Because at the end of the day, we're people and we feel things. So it's very hard to just separate yourself from the situation and move on from it. That's why people say get a hobby, um, find an outlet, and take breaks in life basically. And these ways, there are many different type of ways to unwind and take a break from life and reality a bit. But my question is, why do we resort to substances and external things to make us feel better about our current lives and our internal struggles? What is happening in our lives as kids that make us want to numb our brains and visit the ozone layer? It's easy to say that we're trying to be adults and we're forward, but that's a very dismissive way of thinking about it because you're not taking into consideration the context and the personal individual lived experience. You just look at the action and force your own opinions on it. As kids, we are introduced to alcohol and substances at a very young age, whether it's imcindini or someone tells you to go buy something for them, or just around you people are drinking and people are having fun. So now in your mind you're like, oh, okay, that's how people have fun. So we can claim that we learn our habits from the people around us. And the fact is that both kids and adults consume substances. And if the problem is that kids are the ones who are consuming the substances, then we must focus on why do we do it and try to fix it and manage it instead of demonizing the people who take part in it. Oh, and a way to and a way to figure out how to fix it and how to manage it is by trying to understand why adults do it. Because the only difference between adults and children is that adults have more experience than us and they have more responsibilities because they've lived longer. Experience builds wisdom, but sadly it's that experience that makes us not see eye to eye. Because as as kids we want to experience things for ourselves and we want to figure things out for ourselves, but adults want to be our compass and they want to navigate us from away from their bad experiences and what they have seen in their lives. This difference in us breeds conflict, as in there is no communication and we don't want to understand one another. Instead, adults want us to be obedient and listen to them without thinking, without considering the fact that we are our own people and we think our own things and we develop our own thoughts and opinions about life and we live our own lives. So you saying no or you saying yes to something doesn't change my mind. It just puts a barrier. Because at the end of the day, kids are very impulsive and we don't know any better. We just want to do things without really thinking about it because in the moment it feels good and we want to know how it is. I recognize that substances is a form of escape, a form of just leaving reality a bit, because reality is very fucked up. So you're just trying to escape a little bit, even if it's for a few hours, just to. And I'm here wondering, why are we trying to escape? The daily life of the youth seems very simple in the sense that you wake up, you take a shit, you clean yourself, you go to school, you do assignments or homework, you memorize everything, you come back home, you do your chores, and you go to sleep and you repeat the process. From a adult's perspective, it looks very simple. You're just living. There's no tax you need to be paying. There's no bills. There's no work that you need to do. There's no 9 to 5. So, from an adult's perspective, our lives seem very simple and straightforward. Everything that adults worry about, we don't need to worry about it because we rely on them to live and we're dependents. So it's very hard to pinpoint what exactly is a stressful thing or the issues and struggles of the youth. I don't know if adults forget their childhood, they neglect it, or times really changed that differently, that drastically. There seems to be a disconnect between what they want us to do and the reality that we are living in, from primary school to varsity. Although they do have that, there are pressures that we face in our lives as children, just how they have struggles and standards and societal norms that they have to uphold as part of society. But I don't really think they understand the actual bullshit that 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 goes on in actual schools. I don't think they actually have and understand or care about how we actually interact with each other and how we interact with the world. When I was a kid, I used to hide. My mom used to wait for me when what? When I was a kid, my mom would wait at the bus stop with me because I would always hide somewhere and wait for the bus to pass me and then go back home because I was bullied and I just took it. She scolded me because she didn't understand why I would hide and not go to school. And it took a while for the bullying to stop because I just took it. And don't ask me why. I don't know. I don't know. It was one of those irrational decisions that we make as human beings. In high school, there was always people in bathrooms doing all kinds of shit. And when you heard them speak, it was usually about letting off some steam, or they didn't want to go to class for some reason, and or just they were trying to one up each other in a sense. I feel like the pressures of school don't just come from one another, but they also come from the environment we are in, because it felt like we were being forced to not be people but workers and machines. Because you have to have and you have to memorize 6 to 9 subjects worth of information a day. You probably had one phys ed class per week to let off that steam and all that pent up frustration, and you would showcase your body to your classmates. And children are very fucked up, I'm not gonna lie to you. If we feel a certain way about you, we'll say it directly. That's just how it is. And you'd be tested on how well you memorize the information, and you'd be subjected to rules that are, when you think about them, they're dumb, all in the sake of unity and order. It was like you were forced to be in a box and work in that box, and if you cannot fit in that box, you'd be ridiculed, and they would literally try to chop you off in order and force you in that box. You feel me? And what's worse is that unlike a job, there's no tangible benefit to dealing with all that shit. You're just there. There's no compensation. There's no skills that you feel like you're having that you're gonna use in the long run. There's nothing that makes it worthwhile. You're just forced to do this thing, and if you can't do this thing, you're dumb or you're not working enough, basically. So now you're just in a perpetual cycle of trying to be better and so you force yourself to keep working because you don't have another option, and you can't really complain, because when you complain you get penalized or you get ridiculed again. So it's just an endless cycle of being forced to do of forcing everything, basically. You're just forcing it for no reason, and you're obligated to do it because your parents are going through what you're going through in order to put you in what you're going through, so that you can go through what they are going through, basically. Social media also plays a role because we are constantly fed the lives of people. Not even the whole life, just the bits and pieces that people want to give. We see the seconds in people's lives and want it for ourselves because it's a better alternative to what we are currently living. But sadly, we can't get it. Some of us can, but it's a very difficult thing to get. But the fact that some of us do get it just makes us want to have it more. So we either force it or we feel inferior and our reality is shattered. And every time we scroll and refresh, the contrast in our lives just makes our lives just feel very hopeless and very hard to deal with. Everybody's living their lives and you low-key feel left behind, so you just pour and you spark. Our personal lives also play a role in the sense that how we interact with our families and friends and everybody else, and how they impact our lives. My family has always, like, when I was a kid, my family would always say that if we ever catch you smoking, if we ever catch you doing drugs, shit like that. And I never really understood it because I would just be coming back from playing soccer, and out of nowhere, there's just all these threats that come from nowhere. So now you just feel a sense of, Aibu, what happened? What's going on? What did I do? God. I understand their intent in the sense that no adult wants to see their kids walking a path that they know and that they've seen leads to a fucked up scenario and fucked up circumstances. So I understand that, but at the same time, just putting that out there at a random ass time is very weird. I'm not gonna lie to you. And for a long time in my life, I really didn't do anything. I was just chilling, minding my business, not doing anything. There were people around me that would do these things and they would try to get me into it, and I would just be like, I'm good. I don't need those things. I don't want those things. I'm not curious until I was 18, and I was a little bit curious. I had been drinking for like, I don't know how long. I think since I was 16. So I've been drinking, not a lot, just in holidays. And I was curious about smoking, specifically weed, and I tried it and I enjoyed it. I liked how it made me feel in the moment, and until I didn't, basically. With that being said, although there are societal differences between children and adults, how we live life and how we experience life is not that different, to be honest with you. It's very similar. We do share a lot of possibilities in how we interact with life and how it interacts with us. The only difference is, nah, I'm not gonna put that. We're walking in the same lane. The only difference is that you guys are just further, and you understand what is coming in our path. And I understand that it's very frustrating from your perspective to see us ignoring you and going through the path even though you warned us not to, and feeling all those things that y'all have felt. But as a kid, as a 20-year-old, please bear with us. I know it's very frustrating, but please bear with us, please. I won't say guys until we experience them. All I'm asking, be there when we experience those things and not forsake us. Please. Thank you.